Hello and welcome back to Lombardi Sweep, another packed news week for the Green Bay Packers. I'm Zach Bruner, Trevor Land is back, Janet Wilson's back, and Luke Reimer will be joining us in a couple seconds, I'm sure. How are you two doing? Janet, I know you are in the same place. Supposed to be moving. She's been moving for the past 3 months and she's still in the same spot.
Yeah, they told me June 24th, and then the girl was like, "No, it's August 23rd." So I'm still here. Sad times.
Yeah, that's fun. She's got running water now, though, so that's good.
Yeah, they turned off my water and didn't tell me and left.
That's really good. So today, obviously, there's like no news. The only news is Devonte Adams said, "Yeah, I'm going to be a Packer forever." And then he's like, playing with Derek Carr would be a dream. So Devonte is messing with everybody. Luke's here. Oh God. Okay, Luke's in a car joining us. For the people watching on YouTube and Twitter, they can see a beautiful angle of Luke.
Hello.
Luke, we were just about to announce that your team won from last week. Trevor's got the actual percentages.
They're not the real winners.
Okay, Trevor, you introduce us. Tell us who the real winners are, I guess.
Yeah, Luke, he won, air quotes. I mean, he won nothing. I mean, with 60%. That's cute. Zach, pitiful 24%. And if I remember correctly, Zach, you said something along the lines of it would be a miracle if I got 10%. Well, I'm here to tell you, Zach. I don't know if you could hear that, but that's Kevin Garnett saying anything is possible with a whopping 16. 16. Oh, I just deleted the recording, so I can't do it again. 16%. Your boy knocked it out of the park. Oh, like 50% more than you said. So without further ado, come on, Zach, dance with me. Come on.
It's like watching a car crash in slow motion.
Man, we're having a good time. You said I want to get 10%. I got 16. All I do is just overshoot expectations all the time. Are they stupidly low? Possibly. But I'm just here to appease. So to all of you who voted for me from the bottom of my heart, thank you for having some sort of common sense. And I'll be back next time. I'm going to get 20%. And they're not paying attention. Bam, 30. And then sooner or later, I'm going to win. So thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for voting for me. And that's all I had. Like I said, Zach, I did end up butchering it, but I'm still happy with it.
Trevor, I asked you this last week. Do you regret taking a coach with the first overall pick?
Let me answer that question with another question. Did I get over 10%? Yes. Yes, I did. So I do not regret anything.
Okay, I wanted you to follow up your victory speech by reminding the people what the teams were, and I want you to start with yours. I want you to read it with confidence.
I don't have mine in front of me.
Okay, I'll do it.
Oh wait, no, I do have it now. All right. So my team head coach, you know the guy who, if you win, the trophy's named after him. Yeah, he's running the squad, and then the quarterback. Oh yeah. Remember when Tom Brady, everybody thinks he's the GOAT? Yeah, how about the original GOAT before the GOAT? Behind center, Bart Starr. He can play in any conditions. Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't win championship games, but you know who does in negative degree games?
Read your team. Read the team.
John. I can go all day. John Brockington, James Lofton, Don Hudson. He made all the routes. Just want to throw that out there. Antonio Freeman makes catches on his back. Just want to throw that out there. Bubba Franks, Forrest Gregg, Willie Davis, Bill Forrester, and Leroy Butler, who created the Lambeau Leap, I'd like to point out. So just legends left and right. So, I mean.
I'd like to point out his name's pronounced Leroy Butler. Can't pronounce your own team's names correctly.
Hey, I'm too excited because I got 16%, Zach. Okay, I apologize.
I know Trevor, for those listening at home, is shaking right now. He's He's sweating through his shirt and he's shaking.
Look, Giannis hurt his knee. The Bucks season is over. We all know the Brewers are going to crash and burn. So this is all I have left. So I would appreciate some respect, Zach, please.
All you have left is your 16%.
You're damn right.
Fair enough. Let me just zoom through these other two really quick. So that was Trevor's 16% team, apparently the true winners. And then listen back to last week if you want to hear us draft our all-time Packers teams. I'll read these next two, and then Janet can reveal who she voted for because I think that's the only vote that matters here. So my team, which was second place, got Mike Holmgren, and then Aaron Rodgers, Amon Green, Sterling Sharp, Jordy Nelson, Robert Brooks, Jackie Harris, Jerry Kramer, Julius Peppers, AJ Hawk, and Charles Woodson. And then Luke was coached by Curly Lambeau, had Brett Favre, Paul Hornung, Devonte Adams, Donald Driver, James Jones, Jermichael Finley, David Bakhtiari, Reggie White, Ray Nitschke, and Herb Adderley. So Janet, the big reveal, who did you vote for?
Don't say Trevor's team.
I know, I'm really nervous.
Speak to the people, Janet.
I voted for Luke.
Okay.
Yeah, just because I liked his quarterback. Brett Favre is my favorite quarterback. I love Aaron Rodgers to death, but I always have like a soft spot for Brett Favre, even though he's kind of crazy and I don't want him to tweet anymore. And I also liked his wide receivers and his OL and DL selection.
So you know what that means, right, Zach? Luke only won because of recency bias. Bias because of favorite players. That's why we didn't win.
I thought you were gonna say this would have been a funnier line if you want to rewind this and cut this out, Trevor, just for next time. If you said, you know what that means, Zach? That means 2 strangers voted for your team, not just the one that you thought. So,
Hey,
congratulations.
hey, I don't know what to say, my guy. I don't know what to say. I mean, I just have a way with the people, I guess. People understand. Luke knew it. Luke knew he had to bounce. He knew who the big dog was in this. So I'm just saying, that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, Luke got nervous and left. But yeah, okay. So that was last week. This week we are going to be projecting the Packers offense plus J.K. Scott, Mason, Crosby for the 2021 season. Assuming Aaron Rodgers is back. If Aaron Rodgers is gone, then I don't know about you two. I think the offense might look a little different with Jordan Love in there. Personally, I don't know. Just a bold prediction right there. So if Jordan Love's the starting quarterback, we'll redo this. Luke has some spotty coverage right now, so I think he'll be in and out. But I don't know. Let's just start this out. I do have last season's stats if we want to compare as well. I'll read those off. Let's just start with Aaron Rodgers. Let's just do that. So last year, obviously, MVP season, passed for 42.99, 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, played all 16 games. Next year, for those who forgot, we're going to have 17 games. So when thinking about all these stats, keep in mind there's going to be an extra game played as Luke joins us eating green beans. Is that what that was? Snap peas, you're muted. Can't hear you. But,
Probably for the best. We don't have to hear him chewing.
No kidding. Don't gotcha. I don't think it's on my end. No, it's not. Okay, well. Okay, those listening, this is a disaster. But okay, we'll continue here. So Rodgers, like I said, 42.99, 48-5, extra game this year. I'll start. I am projecting Aaron Rodgers to have another very good season, but a worse season than last year. I have him projected for 46.50 for yards, 52 touchdowns, and then 8 interceptions. Janet, you're probably going to be the most accurate. I can just have a funny feeling you're going to be spot on with some of these. What's your projection for Rodgers next season?
I have him passing yards 5,000. I think he's going to reach it just because apparently he's been on like this hippie high, I love gold kind of thing. So I have 54 touchdowns, and I have, I'm going to say 2 interceptions.
You know, you guys, I think you're going at this too logically, stat-wise. Aaron Rodgers is the guy. They're going to bring him back once Jordan Love sucks in the preseason. They're going to bring him back, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be like, I'll do just enough for you guys. And then if I have to, I'll turn it on at the end because, you're not paying me enough. You don't respect me enough. So I think he'll only get about 4,500 yards just because he'll kind of be loose. 49 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. You can't be too good without any respect. I mean, like you said, Zach, though, I think he's going to have another great season. There's no reason to think he won't. And NFC North's going to be more competitive, so it's not going to be like blowouts against Minnesota where they're just running the ball, or Detroit. So it'll be interesting. We'll see some regression. I don't know if we'll see that much, though.
Yeah, I think I raised his per game yardage and then raised the amount of touchdowns but increased interceptions. That seems likely to me just because, one, if he comes back, it's going to be the Aaron Rodgers fuck you tour. I think he's going to be motivated just to show people up. But two, I think the offensive line is significantly worse. I think the defense is possibly going to be worse. So I think it's going to be closer games. And then last season, honestly, was made for Rodgers to win the Super Bowl because last season favored experienced quarterbacks who could read defenses. It was completely silent on the field. Quarterbacks, he even talked about it, could hear defensive signal calls and all that, just sort of make massive adjustments at the line. With crowd noise, Rodgers is still more than capable of doing that, but to a much, much lesser extent. So this year, the playing field is evened a little bit, and I just don't see him having an MVP-like season, even though I think it's still going to be super good as Luke joins. All three of us gave our Rodgers stat projections. Luke, what's your projections for his stats?
Snap peas is what I was eating.
Gotcha.
My favorite food. Rodgers, I heard just the back end of your monologue there, Zach, with not a whole great, not an MVP year, but not a bad year, whatever. In my mind, I'm thinking, just off the top of my head here, 3,800 to 4,000 yards, 25 to 30 to 27 touchdowns. I'm thinking, just because I don't know how much, how hard, I guess, hard teams are going to go with the first couple of games just due to that extra game. I'm not going to imagine that we're going to have 55 to 48 games right away or anything like that. So I'm thinking most of the league is going to be down scoring to start the year, and then it'll pick up once it comes, and I think Rodgers will fit along with that. So I'll say 37, 75, and 29 touchdowns.
You got to remember there's an extra game as well.
Yep.
So, okay. It will be interesting to see just how teams do adjust to that extra game. Like, there might be scenarios where teams rest week 18, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to be thinking. It'll be interesting. Let's jump to the backfield. We'll start with Aaron Jones. We'll do one at a time. So Aaron Jones last season rushed for 1,104 yards with 9 touchdowns. He caught 47 passes for 355 and 2 touchdowns. I think he is going to increase his stats a little bit more so on the receiving end. I have him for 228 carries, 1,140 yards, 10 touchdowns, 53 receptions, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. So about 1,500 total yards, 13 touchdowns. Luke, you can jump in. We'll go reverse order. What's your thoughts on Aaron Jones?
Yeah, so with Aaron Rodgers having that, I guess, a down year from what I just said in an Aaron Rodgers kind of year, I think Aaron Jones will have a big year. I think this is the year that, they find, last 2 years ago, Aaron Jones kind of has all the touchdowns or whatever. But I think this is a year where Matt LaFleur really unleashes a rushing offense. I'm thinking upwards of 1,400 rushing yards for Aaron Jones. I'll give him double-digit touchdowns, 11, 12. And I'll give him another 300 in the air and another 2 in the air. Because I think without Jamal Williams, that takes, a big part of that offense last year out. And someone's going to have to fill it. I think it's going to have to be Aaron Jones to fill that spot. He might be a 3-down back here. And Packers might have to rely on Aaron Jones a couple games to win them, like we saw 2 years ago when he had 4 touchdowns against Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Trevor?
I think his stats are going to go up. I don't think as much as people think. He only played 14 games this past season for 1,100 yards. I think he'll scrape 1,200. I think he'll get 400 receiving yards, which is up from his 355. And I think he had 11 total touchdowns. I think he'll probably get 10. The reason why I say that is without Jamal Williams, you don't have those complementary backs like we've talked about for a long time. So the way I see this running out, I see Aaron Jones. Not a lot of his runs. He's obviously not going to turn into just a pass catching back, but I can see a lot of scenarios where he's used more in pass catching backs and A.J. Dillon just rams it up the gut. And he takes a decent amount of carries away from Jamal Williams's workload and Aaron Jones, since Aaron Jones is probably going to have to block too. So a little better, but not much different, to be honest.
Janet, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Luke on the 1,400 rushing yards. That's what I have too. I have 12 touchdowns and then 400 receiving yards and 42 catches. So I don't think he's gonna because I know Jamal Williams is obviously not gonna be there, and I think they're going to try to incorporate a lot of A.J. Dillon. So I don't want to overdo it with Jones, just because I know that he's got Dillon there doing practically the exact same thing that he is. So that's mine.
That's fair, and I do agree. I just don't see Aaron Jones seeing a massive uptick in role. I guess I think A.J. Dillon sees obviously a huge upgrade in role. And then a certain Randall Cobb-like player might be lining up in the backfield a little bit. Spoiler alert. But let's go A.J. Dillon, obviously second year. Last year really did most of his damage in one game. He had 242 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches for 21 yards. I have him for 136 carries, 655 yards, 5 touchdowns. Basically absorbing Jamal Williams' snaps and carries. And then receiving-wise, I think he's a pretty good pass catcher. I just don't think he can run a route, and I don't think he's very fast. So I have him for 20 catches, 150 yards, and a touchdown. Janet, what do you think about A.J. Dillon?
I have him at 840 for rushing yards, touchdowns 6, catches 3, receiving 50. He's not going to be. And then I'm going to assume he gets at least 100 carries.
I would like to give my best Luke deep dive impression. There are only 3 players on the Packers who have caught every single target for reception. That is Aaron Rodgers, A.J. Dillon, and Dominique Daphne. So what I'm saying is he's elite in receiving. I don't think they throw to him a lot, though. I think, like you said, Aaron Jones takes a lot of that. And I agree. I think he absorbs Jamal Williams. And because of that, I'm thinking 700, 750 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns. I think maybe 100 yards in the air. I think they almost get too predictable with him not catching in the air. And other than that, I don't think he does much. I feel like he's a nice complimentary too, but nothing to worry about for defenses except in those cold weather games.
Yeah, Zach, how many rushing attempts did you say that you had for him?
I had 136.
Okay. That's what I had written, or I had 125 written down here. But I think a lot of touchdowns are coming from A.J. Dillon. I think now is the time that we've all been waiting for, this huge guy to run into the end zone. He's a number 2 back. I think they spell Aaron Jones. I know I said 12 rushing touchdowns for Aaron Jones, but I think this is a big rushing year. They're going to go back to that rushing attack we saw 2 years ago. I'm thinking double-digit touchdowns for A.J. Dillon this year. I think he gets down to the goal line a lot. Maybe Matt LaFleur learns from the NFC Championship what to do down on the goal line, and you give the biggest running back on the team the ball and just let him put his head down. I think he grabs 4 or 5 1-yard touchdowns, and a couple of them that we saw like Tennessee. So I said 125 yards. I'll give him 650 yards, and I want to say 10 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to do much in the receiving game. He'll catch passes here or there. I'll say 200 yards, and I'll give him a touchdown in the receiving game. But I think it's a big goal line year for him.
You know how you make an MVP quarterback happy to play for your team? You make it a big rushing year.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be fitting if Rodgers passes for like you said, 3,000 yards. Like, okay, let's get this guy out of here. But we'll see. Moving on to the receivers here, Devonte Adams. It could go multiple ways for Devonte Adams next year. I feel like it's contract year, obviously an extra game. It could be massive. We saw what he did last year in 13 and a half games or something. He had, though, I don't know how many games, but he had 115 catches, 1,374 yards, and 18 touchdowns. I have him for 134 receptions, 1,625 yards, and 19 touchdowns. So increase of one. Obviously, it would, if he plays a full season, it would be a lot of extra snaps compared to last year. I just don't know how much more he's going to increase his stats, and it seems like he's always gets banged up at some point. Luke, obviously, you're going to be shotgunning a lot of beers next year for Devonta Adams. How many touchdowns, and what's the rest of his stats, you think?
So now that I have Devonta Adams written down here, I miscalculated my Aaron Rodgers touchdowns. I think I said 30 for him. I'm going to bump that thing up to 38 because I think Devonta is going 20 this year. I mean, just like you said, he had 18 in 13 games last year. I mean, it seems like when they get down to the goal line, I know I just said it's time for A.J. Dillon, but Devonta Adams may be the best goal line receiver in the league. It seems like Rodgers only looks to him. We kind of saw that in the Tampa Bay game. His first look always to Devonta Adams. Devonta Adams, best route runner. A lot of goal line touchdowns, and Devonta Adams got that sneaky post corner route that I think he learned from Jordy Nelson. So I think get a couple long ones here. So I'll go 20 touchdowns, and I'm thinking, Zach, right in that ballpark of 1,600 yards, 1,625. I'm thinking, and I think a lot of receptions too, because who knows what MVS is going to do? Who knows what Lazard? Who knows Tunian? Whatever. Devonta is that one constant on this offense. So I'm thinking 135 to 140 receptions. I think it's a big workload for Devonta, and I really hope it doesn't hurt him come playoffs. But I'm excited for the 20 shotguns that are coming this year.
We're about to go 3 for 3. That's exactly what I was thinking with the receptions. I was thinking about 1,600 yards too. I was thinking about 20 touchdowns as well. Bear with me here. This isn't the Funches bit, but MVS was our second best receiver, and we saw just how reliable he was. Reliable. Funches is not anything like James Jones, right? But he's reliable. You can't just cheat off of him. And I think if they play him right, I think that could make them stay even more true on Devontae. Obviously, they know they can't go 1v1, but if you have reliable options out there, they can't go all out on Devontae. I think that opens them up. To your point, he played 13 and a half games. Now it's a 17-game season. If he's healthy, I mean, there's no talent because you can't stop him.
What do you think, Janet?
Yeah, I took Funches into consideration when I did this. So I have 1,500 receiving yards, 18 touchdowns, 120 catches. So I feel like we're all kind of in the same. We're all reading the room exactly the same. And then apparently, since we have that baby Cobb over here, Marty Rogers, that is going to jump in the game. So that's why I didn't want to overdo it, but I also knew that I feel like he's going to have a good year.
You guys think Devonta Adams gets a rush this year?
I wouldn't think so. If we weren't doing it before with players capable and we bring in Amari Rodgers to do something like that, then I hope we don't, but
Zach, you're thinking the wrong way. That's exactly why we would do that. That's exactly why. I can see on a goal line, how we got Devontae in motion against the Rams in the playoff, got him quick one, caught Jalen Ramsey out. I can see a way where they do either a quick handoff pass, which I know is technically a reception, or they just hand it off to him and say, screw it, try to catch him off guard. I think they might try one or two just because they shouldn't.
I hope they do it with like Devon Funches so we can watch his knee explode in the backfield. That could be fun.
And you know what? He'll still make it to the end zone. He still will, just out of
think
sheer
so.
will and ability.
And
That'll
he'll
really,
dunk it. Since he's been playing basketball, he'll dunk it over the goal field. Like, just dunk
The goal
it.
field.
Sorry, I'm like,
that'll really
field goal.
that'll really prove he's better than Curtis Samuel too.
Yeah, just like Curtis Samuel, how he's always dunking and whatnot. So we were all along the same length of Devonte Adams. Janet scolds me as I speak here. I think the next few receivers we will differ a little bit with. The first one, MVS. This guy's tough to project for obvious reasons. He's completely inconsistent. Last year, 2020, he had 33 catches, 690 yards, and 6 touchdowns as he led the league in yards per reception. Extra game, I don't think his stats go up. I have him for 33 catches again, 565 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So same amount of receptions, about 130 less yards and less touchdown. Luke, what's your thoughts on MVS?
Yeah, I'm thinking in less than 33 receptions. I'm thinking somewhere in the 20s. I don't know how long this guy can stay on the field. Obviously, he's a field stretcher, but I think just the reliance on Devonte Adams, that's just going to open up the middle of the field, and I think Rodgers will attack that more than he'll attack deep because there's obviously trust there with Devonte Adams. I'll give him 25 receptions, 450 yards, and maybe this MVS seems like the kind of guy he'll get games with 1 catch for 63 yards and a touchdown. So I'll throw 4 or 5 touchdowns at him. So I guess that comes out to what 25. What did I say? 425 touchdowns, something like that.
Yeah, MVS kind of reminds me of Deshaun Jackson in Tampa Bay when they had Fitzpatrick, and he just got long bombs the first 3 weeks of the season. Really should probably change my Rodgers predictions because I was high on Scantling how many episodes ago? Apparently it's the only one. I can't leave now. I think he'll get like 40 receptions for like 750. I mean, everything is telling me this guy is going to regress, but I just feel like as a normal person, you should be able to catch more. And I feel like for as unsure his hands are, there's no way he has the series again, this season again. So I'll give him 9 touchdowns. He dropped probably at least 4 or 5 last year. So I guess I'm on the MVS hype wagon.
What about you, Janet?
I felt like an MVS hater when I did this. I did receiving yards 500, 4 touchdowns, and 25 catches. So I'm like kind of around where Luke is at as well. But I felt like a big old hater. Like all I just kept thinking about was like his performance last season. So I couldn't give him much.
Yeah, like I said, he's so tough to predict because, I mean, literally he could catch 5 passes for about 400 yards next year for during a stretch, and like the yards look great, but he's terrible. So we'll see what happens with him. Alan Lazard's another one for me is tough. Last year he's banged up a lot. He had 33 catches for 451 yards and 3 touchdowns. To me, with the addition of the other pass catchers, I think he takes some of the biggest hit. I have his stats going up just because I'm projecting a full season for him. But I have 43 catches, 590 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So it's not great, but I think he's going to be a starter and sort of a role player. Janet, what's your thoughts on Alan Lazard?
Same. I have him at 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 34 catches. Just because I realized that he's not going to be like in the game as much. In regards to like his injury as well, I don't know. I feel like he's also a little bit inconsistent. But yeah, him and MVS are my inconsistent ones.
Yeah,
I don't.
Go ahead,
Go on, Luke.
All right. So I kind of agree with you guys, but Alan Lazard was the one that I had the toughest time with. But I want someone to clip this because I'm going to give the exact stat that he's going to end up with this year. It's going to be.
We're going to write it down. I'm going to write it down.
Okay. This is barring injury. Okay. So 47 catches, 512 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. That's who I think is the rushing touchdown.
How many fumbles?
2.
Okay, I wrote it all down.
2 with 5 drops.
Ooh, okay.
It's going to be hilarious when he falls forward for 513, first of all. Second of all, Lazard's tough because I look at every receiver here. Obviously, Devonte is head and shoulders above any receiver in the NFL. MVS is that deep threat. Tunian's a tight end, not a wide receiver. Funches is kind of like a tight end, big guy. There's nothing that Lazard does that to me makes him really unique and indispensable. I think everybody has something. Granted, MVS drops a ton, but he's more of a deep threat than Lazard. Everybody has their niche, and I don't think Lazard has his. And I think for that reason, he struggles to find any consistency. He only played 10 games last season. There's 17 games this season. Even without injuries, I don't see this moving much at all. I'm going to say again, probably about 450 yards, 4 touchdowns. I just don't see enough that I think he should be on the field. Not that he's bad, but he doesn't bring you that anything extra that other receivers do. So I think he has the same season.
I will say he's basically slated in as the starter because he's by far the best blocker out of all of the receivers. So I think he's going to see snaps no matter what just because of that. But, I mean, it doesn't necessarily translate to receiving yards, but I don't think he's, going to get game planned out or anything. Let's go to the rookie, Marty Rogers here, because I think he's most likely the third receiver. And I at least projected rushing yards and receiving yards because they very clearly have an idea that they want to run him. So starting with rushing yards, I have him for 25 carries, 155 yards and a touchdown. Receiving wise, I have 32 catches, 320 yards and a touchdown. So total about 475, 2 touchdowns, which is pretty productive for a rookie that I tend to believe isn't that good of an athlete. Luke, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm thinking I like the rushing back because I thought that, coming in with a couple of rushing for Marty Rogers here. 15 rushing yards. I don't know, or 15 rushing attempts, I mean. I don't, maybe he barely cracks 100 yards. I think Packers aren't great at trick plays for whatever reason that is. So 15 rushes, 103 yards, throw a touchdown in there. And I don't think he sees a ton of receiving work as a number 3 receiver. I don't know if he starts as a number 3 receiver, just to work him in a little bit. Go 30 catches, 100 or 200 yards, 205 yards, and I'll throw a touchdown in there. And I'm going to throw this in there. I think a punt return touchdown as well.
Hopefully it's a shank and he's just there so you can fall in the end zone because he's not fast enough.
I don't know rushing or receiving. I know it's a cop-out, but I see his all-purpose yards total capping out at about 425. Like you said, Zach, and like we've been saying, he's not a great athlete. He doesn't have great speed. He's short. He's a coach's player. He works hard. He's a great guy for the locker room, but I just wonder, one injury, one player goes down that changes the whole season. Maybe you lose some games that you shouldn't. The reason I'm bringing that up is you can't afford to try to force it to him anymore. You got to go with what you know. And I think if that were to happen, I think maybe he doesn't see as much work as he usually would. He's a good guy. Again, he's a good player. I have nothing against him, but he just doesn't seem like a typical wide receiver that you can plug in anywhere. And I think he's got a very niche fit, and I don't think the Packers have a role for that right now.
What about you, Janet?
Yeah, I have him at 500 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, and 30 catches. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody's he's going to be the next Cobb, but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone over it. He's not as fast as Cobb. He's not as quick as Cobb. He's not as long as Cobb. He's not as smart as Cobb. He's not as athletic as Cobb. So let's compare him to Randall Cobb. That makes sense. That's about it. Devon Funches, I have a feeling I'm going to be different from at least Trevor. Obviously, last year he opted out. Year before that, he got hurt in week 1. I'm not expecting much from him. If he plays 17 games, I'm sure he exceeds these stats. But if he plays more than 5 games, it'll be a shock to me. I have him for 19 catches, 242 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I think that's pretty optimistic. I think he can be a big red zone option, except I don't think he can create separation. So I think it's going to look very eerily similar to a Jimmy Graham fade that the Bears like to run. Like, that's about all Devon Funches to me is good for. Janet, what do you think?
400 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns, and 20 catches. And I feel like he's a little bit of a bust, guys. I don't have that much faith in him, but I could be wrong.
Luke, I think you should go next and let Trevor go last.
So, yeah, I'm with Janet and Zach here. I'm sorry I'm not on your side here, Trevor, but I never thought, Devon Funches is an NFL athlete, great. I never thought he was that great of a receiver. Maybe that's because he played with Cam Newton in his career. He played at Michigan, who I hate, so there's a bias there. But what do you expect out of it? 4 touchdowns. It's 4 red zone touchdowns is what I think is going to happen. And it's tough, like I alluded to before, with Devonta Adams being the best red zone target. All those targets are going to go to Devonta Adams. So if Devonta Adams, maybe they're long drive, they take Devonta Adams out one play and Rodgers throws it up to Funches. That's how I see him getting his touchdowns. I don't see any more than 250 yards. He's the guy who's going to be there for the short hitch routes when Rodgers is rolling out of the place and just finds the open guy. He's not going to run for anything. Have cornerbacks diamond at his knees because he's such a big guy. So I'm seeing knee injuries all over the place here. So I'm going 20 catches, 250 yards, 4 touchdowns.
What's the record for most receiving touchdowns in a season?
23.
23. Okay. So probably like 25. But in all seriousness, like in 2017, 63 receptions, 840 yards, 8 touchdowns with Cam Newton. Cam Newton is not a good quarterback. He's really not. And that season, Cam Newton was, if I remember correctly, really not a good quarterback either. Like, it wasn't his MVP season. So he's able to do that with Cam Newton. It's, in all seriousness, it is tough to see where he fits in with this offense. However, I think he fits because I really can't trust anybody else. Can you trust Lazard? I don't know. Devontae, obviously, yes. MVS, hell no. I think defenses a lot of times are going to try to overload on Devontae at the goal line. I think Devontae gets his, but I think Funches, like I said, just from sheer apathy from the defense on him, I think he gets a decent amount of touchdowns just because the defense is like, fine, if you're going to beat us with Funches, 5. So he's not going to get that many receiving yards because he's like Tim Patrick. All he does is catch touchdowns. So he'll get probably like 400 receiving yards. I'm only saying that because I'm envisioning somebody getting hurt for an extended period of time. And I'll go with it. 10 touchdowns. Why not? Let's go for it. Go for broke.
Hashtag Devon Funches always catches touchdowns sometimes.
Dude, Devon Funches, man, if you are watching this on Twitter, you're not. But if you are, I'm the only one standing up for you here. All right? So when you hit 10 touchdowns, you need to come on here. I'll take like a pair of Jordans like signed by you. Like we'll work it out. But I'm here for you, guy, all the time. Better version of Curtis Samuel.
My message for Devon Funches is I think today might be the last day that a player can opt out. It's really soon. And you get more money this year. I think it's a wise choice. I think you might get more money to opt out.
That's not right. You should be telling that to a lot of other players instead of him. That's not right.
If EQ is listening, EQ, I think you can opt out. Yeah, there's a few, unfortunately. Let's go to tight end. Robert Tunian, obviously a massive breakout year for him last year. Certainly benefited from the tight end injuries, benefited from Devonte losing time. The big message out of OTAs is that they really want to expand his route tree and his role in the offense. So theoretically, it should be a bigger role for Robert Tunian this year. Last year, 52 catches, 586 yards, and 11 touchdowns. I'm projecting 63 catches, 625 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So I think touchdowns regress a little bit naturally, but I think everything else goes up. Janet, what's your thoughts?
I'm there with you with the receiving yards, 604, and then I have 60 catches, but I have 14 Tunian tutties for the year. Yeah, I think he's gonna be a monster this year. I've been watching his workouts, so
I'm sure you have.
scouting.
But have you? Well, you're watching his workouts, but you're clearly not watching Devon Funches punch on some dudes at the park. So,
Yeah.
So just to go back for Devon Funches here for a second. When I was talking about rushing yards, Trevor, did you bring up that Devon Funches could have a rushing attempt this year? If not, I'm sure you're thinking it, but he just played it. He just played with Tyreek Hill at Tyreek Hill's charity basketball game. So I don't know if there's a little correlation there that Tyreek Hill's telling him how to run the ball. But we could be in for a Devon Funches couple of rushing touchdowns there.
he could because obviously one, receiving, rushing, like one doesn't define him, right? Like he can do everything, except for maybe pass. I don't know about that, but yeah, he'll get some runs if he wants to. It all depends how he's like Aaron Rodgers. Let's call an audible. I'd rather catch a pass from me today. Stuff like that.
In relation to Jordan Love, I'm sure he can pass. But back to Tunian. I'm with you, Zach. I think the touchdowns go down. There's no way that teams are going to let Tunian score how many ever touchdowns again this year. But he is that guy. I mentioned on a couple shows in the past. He's that guy that Rodgers throwing deep to, and you're like, who the hell is he throwing to? We saw Devonte on a slant, and it's Robert Tunian wide open, 40 yards in the end zone. So I think we see a couple of those again this year. I was thinking somewhere in the ballpark of 70 catches. I think he becomes a lot more, used in middle of field stuff. I think he's going to be a focal point of his offense. But 70 catches. I'll go somewhere like 670 yards, and I'm thinking 7-8 touchdowns. I think that'd be a great year from Tunian if we can get that out of him.
For Tunian, I'm going to go 65 catches for 600 yards. It was impressive. He caught 42 receptions on 59 targets. That's going to go down. 3 of his touchdowns came against just sheer busted coverage from what you could call, I guess, defense from the Falcons. His touchdowns are obviously going to go down. He had a lot, like you said, Luke, on just busted plays. You catch 11 touchdowns and you're arguably the best tight end in the NFC. That's not going to happen anymore. And even with all those deep plays, he only averaged, 11 receiving yards a reception. So I think his receptions go up, his receiving yards don't go up a ton. Touchdowns, I'd say 4, because that's why you got Devon Funches. And in all seriousness, I don't, if you take out those big plays, like we said, you're going to Devonte on the goal line, Devonte or Dylan.
I'm glad you said that. Like, talking about, Rodgers passes it off the screen. It's like, who the hell is he passing to? And Tunian's doing jumping jacks wide open. That's not going to happen this year. That was back when teams didn't respect him, or to your point, the Falcons didn't know how to play defense. So, that's not going to happen. The other tight end, big dog, Mercedes Lewis, I thought he deserves to be projected by us. So last year, 10 catches, 107 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I wanted to give him the Trevor's Devon Funches treatment, but I didn't. I have him for 11 catches, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pretty similar stats. He's basically he catches the touchdown when it's a play action and everybody commits to the run. That's basically him. What do you think, Luke?
He might have had the coolest touchdown last year against the Saints where he jumped over that guy or whatever. He caught it and went backwards. I'm in the same boat with you. I don't even know if he sees double-digit receptions. I think he might end up he might end this year with the most touchdowns per reception So I'm thinking, maybe 5 catches. No, I'll give him 10. I'll give him 10. Double digit 10. 95 yards, 3 touchdowns. 30% of his catches are touchdowns.
Shout out to Ian in the chat because I was pretty much thinking like the same thing. 5 catches, 5 touchdowns, 5 yards. I'll give him like 7 catches.
Efficiency.
I'll give him like 40 yards, right? Because he's not going to go very far when he catches it unless it's like a Tunian coverage, and like 4 touchdowns. Because I think the Packers can do something with not only a play action where they commit to the run, but they can have Tunian and Adams go out there and, oh yeah, we forgot this guy can technically catch too. And he just kind of hidden in the barge of the offensive line. I think that's where he does well. I mean, I don't think anybody here is thinking he's going to get anything more than 200 unless hell freezes over.
I wish, but Janet, what's your thoughts?
I have 175 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, and 12 catches. So we're all pretty much on the same page.
If he can somehow get like 5 touchdowns, I'll be so happy. He deserves it.
Yeah, he does.
I take back what I said about him leading the league in or touchdowns per reception, because that's going to be Dominic Daphne. 2 catches, 2 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Probably. He'll be the one to get the rushing attempt. I can feel
Right.
it out of the pass catchers.
He's wide open. Devon Funches runs in front of him to get the touchdown to hit my quota.
Daphne runs into the back of Devon Funches and snaps his spine.
Aaron Rodgers versus Gutekunst? No. Devon Funches versus Daphne. There's a reason they haven't been talked about. It's because the tension is so high.
That's going to be the next Kobe Shaq feud.
Probably, yeah. Can see it.
I had a quick question for you guys. That's everyone that we're going to talk about, right, for the offense?
Yep.
So where do you think the Packers finished for scoring offenses this year? I think they were
I
number
thought we were
1.
going to do Crosby and J.K. Scott.
Oh, my
That
mistake.
is true.
Yeah, we'll do them, but we can talk about this first since we're
Okay.
moving on from the offense. What
Yeah,
were you going to say, though?
Just the quick question was, where do you think they finished in scoring offense? I think I could be wrong, but I think they were number 1 last year.
Yeah, they were.
Like points per game, right? That's
Yeah.
what you're looking at? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd probably think like 3rd. Assuming Rodgers is back, like 2nd, 3rd. I just feel like the Chiefs are going to light the world on fire.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you. Top 3 for sure. You get a good year out of. You get those touchdowns out of AJ Dillon. I think that bumps up to consideration for the number 1 spot. But I'm around the 1, 2 or 3 mark.
I'm going to say 1, and I think it's going to be another season where, it was close, but I don't think it's going to be close. You guys are missing the big thing. Joe Barry's our defense coordinator, so we need to score like 70 points a game. And the only thing stopping us is if Aaron Rodgers wants to. Again, I don't think there's a way to figure out this offense. That 1-2 punch of Dillon and Jones with that extra week in the cold. I don't know how you stop that, especially with Devonte too. I think it's pretty much the same. I think the Chiefs are 2nd, though, for sure.
Because of Joe Barry, I think we're going to be receiving a lot of kickoffs is the difference. So taking some time off there, backed up a little bit more. That's my worry. That and again, Marty Rogers, bring the ball out of the end zone at a full sprint and gets tackled at about the 5-10 yard line because that's about as far as he got out. Let's go to J.K. Scott, and then we'll finish up with Crosby. J.K. Scott we wanted to talk about because he blows.
Sucks.
He's not very good. Last year he set a career high 45.5 yard average for his punts. He had 46 punts, 3 touchbacks, 15 inside the 20. So essentially a third of his punts were inside the 20. Wasn't very good for average. He obviously had 2 returned, 4 touchdowns, had 1 blocked. He's just not a very good punter. My thoughts are he's going to be punting more, not just because of the extra game. I think the offense is going to be worse. I think his average is going to be the exact same, but I do think he's going to be a slightly better punter, so I think he's going to drop some inside the 20. So a combination between him being able to punt further and also being in positions to drop inside the 20, I think it'll be about the same average. But my personal opinion is that there's going to be more 3-and-outs this year. What's your guys' thought? Luke, you can start.
You know what would be funny? If J.K. Scott comes up for the first punt and he's just jacked. He's like Ray Lewis jacked. All offseason just so he can make one tackle. But obviously that's not happening. This kid is 100 pounds soaking wet. He's got hair like mine. He looks like a ballerina when he kicks, which is awesome. It's a cool sight to see. But his kicks don't do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't see how he does better. I mean, sure, I think down 4 or 5 inside the 20, but I think there's just another year where we're going to be saying we need to get this guy off our team and look to a new punter. I'm sorry to say, because I really like J.K. Scott coming out of college. I was happy we got an Alabama guy, and it happened to be the punter, which is probably the worst Alabama guy you could get, but it was a cool Alabama guy to have. I don't see much improvement from him this year.
Yeah, I don't see any improvement. I mean, we haven't had a good punter since what, like 2012 before Mass Day fell off a cliff, 2013. Also, a nugget for you. J.K. Scott somehow has the 9th most punts in Packer history. That's terrifying.
That's interesting.
But, Yeah, I see it going down. I was high on him coming out of college, but dude can't punt. He can't kick it. His form doesn't really work for a guy who punts more than twice a season. I see it getting worse. I don't see a guy like him having the mental fortitude, I guess, to improve. I think it drops to like 41, 42. Decent amount of bias in my prediction, I will say. But I think this is the final straw for him. I think he's gone after this.
Janet?
I approached J.K. Scott's stats the way with the same attitude that he approaches tackles. I avoided him. So I did not do anything on him.
That is fair enough. I will say, without getting into it, like the extra game this season hurts Scott more than anybody else, and it hurts him more than any other punter because of his form. Like because he has a plant foot on the ground, he doesn't kick like off the ground. He slowly like wears down throughout the entire season. That's why week 17, 16, he usually is even worse. I can't imagine if we somehow make like a playoff run, it's going to be a disaster. Unless he completely changes his form, which I can't imagine he would do. Let's finish up with Mason Crosby. The dude was automatic last year. 2020, he went 16 for 16. Barely had to kick field goals, but when he did, he drilled them. Had a 57-yard long, which is also incredible. Was 59 for 63 for point afters. So my projection for 2021, I think he has to kick more this year. I have him going 24 of 26 for the 56 long, and I think the Packers score less. So I have him going 59 of 62 for point afters, less touchdowns despite an extra game. Janet, what's your thoughts with Crosby?
I have him for a total of 18 field goals made throughout the year. I think that he's going to, if he retires, which I hope he doesn't, I kind of want him to be like the oldest guy in the league. But I think he's going to go out with a bang this year, if he does. That's all I have.
Yeah. I mean, I think with, like I said before, I think the rushing attack's more. I think that's going to lead to more field goals rather than, extra points. So I'm thinking somewhere in the same ballpark as this year. I'm going to give him a little more though, just because, let's see, like I just said, it'll be more field goals. I'll go 30 for 32. We'll throw in 56 extra points. No, 60 extra points. And I'm going to give him a long this year. I think he goes 60. I've been waiting for it his whole career. He's one of the best college kickers ever. It did help that he played in Colorado in college. But I think he still does that. He has that leg. I think we see maybe before halftime in a 3:25 game, we get a 60-yard field goal out of him.
That'll be cool.
Mm-hmm. Trevor.
Trevor, can't hear you.
Get him so.
I was so invested because I was talking to myself about how the hell is this dude only 36 years old? He looks like a camp counselor that's 52. I'm gonna go based off of like how his career has kind of been to this point. I think he's gonna go like 28 for 33. I'll throw in a blocked kick in there, extra points, probably like a 50 for 53. I mean, I'm just shocked that this dude is 36. I mean, he looks granted he turns 37 on September 3rd, but this poor dude needs him just for men. I don't know what to say.
It's wild that him and LeBron are both 36 years old.
Like, and Mason Crosby plays the more physical sport. Granted, he's a kicker, but still.
How many game-winning field goals out of Crosby this year?
I hope one. I hope he gets
How many
one.
did he have last
He
year?
probably has all that gray hair every time he's put basically to win the game for us. The year before, every time he kicked, it was like either he makes it and we win, or he does it and we lose. So that's probably where he got all his gray hair from.
I think we see two of them this year, and they're both going to come against the Lions because the theme that I've been saying all the shows that we always lose in the Lions and always win on a last-second field goal. So that's going to be 2 times again this year.
Let me throw in another stat for you guys. Crosby has never gone more than 5 years without a forced fumble or a fumble recovery. This is true. I don't know how, but it is. So he's going to knock a ball loose in a big game. He's not going to win by the leg. He's going to win by his fist punching the ball out.
You don't think it's like an onside? You think he's going to be like suiting up a middle linebacker because we didn't see any?
No. I think it gets blocked. He's like he
does like the DK Metcalf and chases the guy down.
No. Here's what's going to happen. It gets blocked. He's thinking back to like JK, and in a moment of rage, just punches that bitch out like full Hulk strength. It goes bouncing down the field, and like a big fat guy just falls on it, and then he gets another attempt, and he's like, JK, get the hell off the field. Give me Aaron Rodgers to hold this ball. Kicks it through, wall flipping off J.K. Scott, Lambeau leap.
You just said he looked like a camp counselor. Now he's punching like the Hulk?
Yeah, it's going to be like a Bruce. It's going to be like Bruce Banner the Hulk.
Does Bruce Banner look like a 36-year-old football player? No, but he does it anyways.
Fair enough. So we just gave the accurate projections of the Packers offense plus the special teams. Do you guys have any other closing statements here before we get out of here?
Everyone should remember my Lazard prediction and give me credit when it comes true.
Yeah, I have it written down on my paper. So
perfect. Thanks, Janet.
Either save the paper or we can listen back to the podcast. We'll
yeah.
see.
That's kind of like a throwback to our fantasy football show. That's Luke's guarantee of the year.
Devon Funches, MVS, I'm the only one who believes in you, all right? Everybody's a hater. Everybody's a doubter, okay? But I've been seeing you one of you put in work, okay? I believe in 1.5 of you, so let's prove these guys wrong.
I honestly don't know which one you're talking about for putting in work.
Right.
That's the point. That's the point.
Like, Funches has been Instagramming basketball. Like, that's
who the Bucks are going to pick up with Giannis going down with the injury here. He's not going to play for the Packers.
Just comes sprinting on the court in a Packers jersey. You're like, what the hell is he doing? Goes down the court, yams it, runs off.
Yeah, I think closing catch was a touchdown.
Knee bends the opposite direction. Giannis flashbacks. What a dud. Okay, so that was Lombardi Sweep. We'll be back next Wednesday. Obviously, if you're listening on a podcast feeds, next Thursday, rate, review the show, share the show. We'll be back with something.